Hello everybody, welcome one and all to another edition of the Gamers of the Lost Spark podcast. This is episode 4 on the 10th of June 2015. We've had a little hiatus, a 2-week break, while Anthony's been on holiday and I've had a birthday that I've just staggered out of the fumes of a hangover from. I'm Darren Whittam. The other spark on the podcast is Anthony Chesson, and we're here to entertain you on our podcast for the next hour or so. Anthony, how are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, Darren. As you say, I've just got back from 10 days away, so still kind of struggling a little bit with jet lag. I'm getting older now, so jet lag's kind of creeping in. So how was your birthday? Did you have a good one?
Yeah, it was all right. It was okay. It was I don't know. It was a big one to me, really. The big 4-0. I'll shout that out loud. And I'd sort of built it up that 40 was a big one. Some people don't really celebrate it, I don't think, or my mum and dad were saying, 40, we never bothered with that, but then they didn't really bother with many birthdays. So I spent months and months trying to think of something amazing to do, and I couldn't. I kept coming up short. And in the end, I just thought, you know what, I don't want to do anything. There was no present I could think of either, because there's no console. There's no console out. There's no hardware or tech. I mean, really, I could have done with being 40 next year, and then I could have got some kind of VR tech and a PC. That would have been the dream. But nothing's out, and I was like looking around, trying to find what present to get. I even thought about getting a Segway. I was like, oh yeah, that's a silly thing that you'd never get. So I could get a Segway. So I started looking into Segways. And did you know that Segways in Britain are actually illegal to drive on the road?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I mean, it's quite funny because where I was last week was San Francisco, and kind of when I was down in Fisherman's Wharf, all you heard was this really kind of metallic kind of buzzing, and then you turn around and there's a whole group of people doing a Segway tour, and it was quite a fun thing to see, and I tried to get the wife to kind of do it, but you did have to wear a stupid hat and a big yellow jersey as well, but they were just kind of like buzzing around the Fisherman's Wharf area, so which was really funny.
Oh wow! Have you ever?
I could have brought you one back.
Have you ever had a go?
No.
Yeah, you could have been like a mule, couldn't you? But sort of ridden it through. You said, yeah, it's personal. I drove this here. I'm riding it back home now. Love it.
I always get the image of Niles Crane in Frasier when he had the Segway. I loved that episode. That was just like, it's hilarious. I always going to get that. I'd love to go into work on my Segway. That'd be awesome. Maybe we could revive them, start them a retro Segway club.
Well, maybe we should. But the thing is, right? So you can't drive it on the road. But did you know that also in Britain you can't drive them on the pavement either?
So where can you drive them? Do you have to take them off track and go to Brands Hatch or something?
Yeah, I don't think you can even allow them on the park.
Wow!
Because of the laws of our land, you can only drive them on sort of private land that's not public, which excludes, I'm pretty sure, well, definitely roads, definitely pavements, and I'm pretty sure public places like parks. And I couldn't believe it, and I thought, no wonder I've never seen one around, because living in London for so many years, never seen one. And it sort of blew that one out of the water. I thought, well, I was quite willing to spend a load of money on something stupid. But, I mean, even I'm not that stupid. I'm not going to get one that I can't even ride apart from in my back garden or inside my house. So, I blew that one off. But I didn't know that. I did not know that we couldn't drive them about. So, yeah, getting back on point there. Just had a quiet one. Went to the pub for a meal in the afternoon with family, and then had some mates round in the evening. I didn't plan anything. It just sort of happened, which I quite like, because I don't like that feeling that you've got to have a great time. The pressure to have a great time. I don't really like that. And in the end, on a whim, it was a good day and a good evening. And then I had a few days just feeling under the weather, as you do as you get older.
It takes longer to recover from a hangover now you're this side of 40.
Yeah, just slightly.
For every year it's an extra day, I'm sure of it. I'm struggling now.
I think you're right. It's a day per unit plus a day for every year.
There you go. There's the equation. So what have you been playing this week? Now that you're 40, you're just kind of playing things like Farming Simulator and kind of serious games.
Yeah, Microsoft Flight Simulator. Things like that, really.
What's it called? The Minesweeper on
Minesweeper.
On Windows XP.
Yeah, Silent Service on the Commodore 64, the submarine simulator that my dad used to like.
They make them like they used to.
Yeah, I dusted off the old covers of those, and I was like, oh wow, I never saw the attraction of these before, but my goodness, these are looking very good now. No, me, Not much of a change, really. I'm still on The Witcher. A little bit of Witcher trivia. There was an announcement the other day from CD Projekt Red that it sold 4 million copies in 2 weeks over all its platforms. That's amazing. And I believe I saw a statistic, and I don't know if you've seen this one. It was something like it was 35 million. I can't remember dollars or pounds to make because I haven't got this information in front of me. But 38 of the same money, either dollars or pounds, was spent on the marketing.
Wow.
So it's interesting, isn't it? I think they do something similar with movies, don't they? Where the marketing budget's almost as much or a bit more than the film itself.
Absolutely. I mean, that's kind of one of the reasons why Kevin Smith, the director Kevin Smith, kind of chose to take a couple of these movies away from mainstream, because he was just seeing that they were spending more money than on the movie, just marketing it and shipping people around all around the world and stuff. So that's why he kind of just used Twitter and Facebook and social media to market his films.
Wow, and let the word spread organically instead of using all these professionals and all this money, to do that. That's good if it works. If you've already got the interest and the people there ready to listen, it's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So how far are you on the Witcher 3?
Well,
I mean, I must admit, because I've been away and stuff, I haven't played it. I'm starting to get Witcher 3 withdrawal symptoms, but I haven't played it this week. So how far are you in?
Well, I feel like I'm not very far in, really, and I can't find out where to find out how many hours I played, and time is a luxury, obviously, at the ripe old age of 40. But yeah, I had a quick look before at how many quests I've done, and I was surprised to see I've done 48 quests. Not just this main story, just all sorts of different things, free treasure hunts, contracts, and secondary quests and things like that. So I've done 48 quests, and I'm level 14. Where I am in the great scheme of things regarding the story is anybody's guess. I don't know. I'm still looking for Ciri. But the quests just seem to quests just run into more and more quests, and it's quite amazing. Then they diversify and offshoot, and it's great. It's great, but it's quite difficult if you're trying to sew something up and you say, right, I'll just finish this quest and then I'll go to bed. And you go, right, I'll just go in here, and you think, right, yeah, well, I'll find this thing and I'll do that, and that'll be it. And then all of a sudden you get chatting to someone and they say, yeah, but actually this needs doing, and what about this guy? And some other guy walks in and goes, Geralt, yeah, good to see you again, mate. You need to do this too. And before you know it, it's just sort of like gone off into all these different directions, and your quest log's updated loads, and you're getting pulled in more and more, and you're thinking, I can't finish this quest tonight. I'm gonna have to give up. I don't know. Have you played through the Bloody Baron quest line yet?
No, I don't think I've played that yet at all.
Oh well, that's I was going to say early on, but it's not early on. It's early on. Should you choose to do it, or go into that place at a certain time, and I did. And there's this guy, and he runs. He sort of is the self-proclaimed ruler of Velen. And he's a bit like Robert Baratheon from Game of Thrones, really. He reminds me a lot of him, except he's got a bit of a Brummy accent. And he's got some problems with his wife and his daughter have run off, and he asks you to sort of look into that. And that's how it starts, really simple. But as you go through the quest line, more and more it gets opened up and explored about the relationship with his wife and his daughter, and what's been happening, and he's been violent, and she's had a miscarriage, and all these sort of problems just come to the fore. And it's a really grey area, there is no right and wrong, it very much leaves it up to you to make a judgment about how you want to call what he's done, why he did it, what his motivations are, and what sort of response you're going to give him. And I always try and be a nice guy and stuff in games, but I pick what I think's the nice guy approach. It doesn't always seem to be the nice guy approach. It's strange. It's as if it penalises you. You say, "Look, Mr. Nice Guy, you can have a taste of the real world this time." And it's very much like levels of grey in the choices you make. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Level 14. I've only just sort of clicked with the combat. I've sort of lost my Bloodborne combat muscle memory, and I'm more into my Witcher combat now, and there's a lot of it you sort of need to learn the dodge rather than the roll. So on the PS4 the X is roll, so it'd be green or A on the Xbox, and it's circle to dodge, and when you dodge, instead of rolling so far away, you can just sort of sharply weave behind them, and it's all about getting behind the enemy and then sort of striking them. And the parry with the left shoulder button is very important. And I don't know whether this is a mixture of the patching or me getting used to it and getting better at it, or whether just the patching has fixed it, but it does seem a little less clunky. But it could just be that I've sort of acclimatised to the Witcher's environment. But I'm still staggered when I play it, still staggered all the time by the beauty and the breathtaking graphics, the sun shining through leaves in a forest, and it's like individual. The leaves break it up, like, so you're getting these particles of the sun's rays like shining on your outfit or whatever, or just like onto the screen, and I just have to stop. And I just look around. And I remember you saying something about that you'd be spamming everybody with your friends on Xbox with the screenshot thing, and I was going to do it. I was going to link my accounts like Facebook and Twitter just to send screenshots to everybody because I was just so in awe of it. So yeah, I'm absolutely loving The Witcher, still playing it, and no sign of me stopping playing that at the moment. I'm also playing Spelunky still. I don't know why. I just play it for kicks now, so I just pop it on. The thing is, it's a good little thing because my son, he likes Spelunky. And I don't put any games like The Witcher on it in front of him because he's only little. So it's sort of, before his bath, I sort of want the PlayStation ready for The Witcher. So we play Spelunky together. So we sort of put that on. And I was twitching it for a little while, but then now he sort of grabs the pad and has a go. And then I'm like, sort of feel bad if we've got any viewers. But actually, he's pretty good. He is very good, actually. He can clear like a whole section on his own, which I think is stunning. But I don't know. I've got no other 4-year-olds to sort of reference him against. So yeah, still playing Spelunky, but just for a laugh. There's no pressure, not really no anger. It's just fun. And the funny thing is, you take the pressure away, and I've done it like the hard way quite a few times now. It's just like, yeah, it ain't no thing. I just do it, I just do Spelunky. Never when I'm broadcasting it though. It's always when I'm just doing it, just sat there, sort of at home and not broadcasting it on the internet. Start twitching, and all of a sudden I'm dying all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's pressure's back on, isn't it? That's what it is. So you're like, right, I want to give them a good show, and then you kind of press that share button, and then instantly you're going to be kind of you'll feel the pressure again.
Absolutely. It's like, my goodness, my audience, I can't let them down. And before you know it, fall into a spike trap. The only other things that I've been playing are a couple of the PSN free games. I thought I felt obligated to have a look. Super Exploding Zoo, I had a look at. It sort of strikes me as like a flash game, really. You move your little animal around a zoo. And your special power is that you can explode. They all explode, hence the name. And there's lots of barriers, and the only way you can get through a barrier is by blowing it up, and that sacrifices one of your animals. So you walk around picking up many animals, and then what you've got to do is stop a monster getting to an egg. So the monster's slowly creeping towards this egg, and you're walking around the level picking up as many friendly animals as you can, so that you've got enough to kill the monster, which takes usually 6 bombs or animals, and you need enough to kill it, but with one survivor, so you complete the level. So it's a puzzle game basically, and it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's all right for free. I wouldn't buy it. I probably wouldn't play it on a commute either, but it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, I played a bit of it on the because I had 2 10-hour plane journeys, so I was just kind of going through. I had my iPad, I had my Vita, and I had my DS kind of all ready, and I fired it up just quickly, and while I was listening to another podcast, and I think I got to monkeys. I think I got to about kind of 6 or 7 stages in before I started getting a little bit kind of, I guess distracted by other things and thinking, well, I could be playing this, I could be playing that.
Yeah, I found the controls a little bit clunky as well, because if you press the shoulder button down, you can sort of send off. It's supposed to be a bit like cannon fodder, I suppose, in a way. You can send off like one unit to go and do something while you do something else. But it never really explained that, or unless I'm not that far in yet and I just discovered it by accident. But selecting like who you wanted to select seems to be real hard work. So yeah, I gave up on that. And did you ever go on Futureridium? I had a little go on that as well.
No, I didn't. What was that like?
It's okay, sort of a vector graphics type space game. So you what did it remind me? The graphics remind me a little bit like Starblade, the old arcade game. I don't know if you remember that.
Okay, yeah.
And you're flying along, and you've got a time limit, and basically there's sort of like a space station or a structure in the space in front of you, and you've got to destroy targets on it. your energy's running down all the time. By destroying the targets, you top your energy up. So it's basically a timed levels. And then when you've destroyed all the cubes or the targets, the cubes are the bit that I played, then you've got to destroy shoot a core, which is a white circle, and then you've done the level. So it's basically about positioning, getting in there, shooting the targets in the time, being quite precise with your flight, and then getting out of there. It looks pretty impressive, actually. It's got some really nice trails on your ship when you boost and things that really reminds me of Wipeout 2097. So it sort of gets me on that, and I just think it'd be really good on something like Morpheus or Oculus, but Morpheus on PS4, and it's okay. I just had to go because I felt obligated to. The game that I'm looking forward to having a go is Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes. That's the other one that I picked up, but I'm holding back because I thought it might distract me from The Witcher. But then thinking about it, it's only about an hour, so maybe it wouldn't. With the time that I've spent on those other games, I could have probably had a good go of it. But when Sam's been in bed, I've been playing Witcher, and I didn't want to dive into something else, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, it might actually be worthwhile because we've got Metal Gear, the full game comes out, doesn't it? Metal Gear Solid 5 comes out in September. It might be worthwhile waiting, kind of getting close to that, because then you can start getting the muscle memory for Metal Gear by playing Ground Zeroes, because I have played that when it first came out and really enjoyed it, had a good laugh, kind of went through the mission. But now I feel like I might have to play it again just to kind of get back into that whole control system and sneaking and doing all of the things that you need to do when you're playing a Metal Gear Solid game, rather than starting a Metal Gear 5 with that.
Is it good?
It's really good. I really enjoyed it. Like I say, it took me more than an hour to do it, but I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed sneaking around, as you do in a Metal Gear Solid game, and it was great fun. Graphics look fantastic, and it took a while just to kind of get back into that whole kind of sneaking around and not distracting guards, and I tried to do it without killing anyone, and it was really good fun. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's supposed to be very open-ended, isn't it? So that it might just be an hour or 2 hours to actually finish it, but you can approach it in so many different ways that, from what I've read, there's apparently almost endless ways endless playability, trying all the different ways of going through the game.
No, absolutely. I mean, I'm thinking about kind of playing it again before Phantom Pain comes out, but I think about I'm going to do it on the PS4 just so I can see what the graphics are like there, because I haven't pre-ordered that from anywhere, so I don't know whether to play that on the PS4 or the Xbox One. Yeah,
is it the first? No, it's not the first multi-format Metal Gear, is it? I don't think. Was Peace Walker multi-format? I can't remember. But yeah, it's sort of its natural home has always been PS4. Well, Metal Gear Solid 4 was a PS4 exclusive, wasn't it?
Absolutely. I remember getting that demo. Was it with Zone of Enders, where you had the tanker demo? Yeah. That was just such a great demo. When it finished, I remember I didn't want that demo to end. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I think I actually bought Zone of Enders, as probably everybody did. Just bought that for that demo.
Yeah, it was like, I'm getting Zone of Enders, and it's like, yeah, all right. So you want the demo that much. I remember playing that tanker demo. Oh man, it was amazing. That was Metal Gear Solid 3, wasn't it?
Was it? Wow.
I think so. Might be mistaken. I think so. It might even be 2. It was on the PS2. Yeah. It was on the PS2.
I mean, it was quite funny the other day. I've got the Metal Gear Solid HD collection for the Vita, and I fired up that one. I fired up Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty, isn't it, or something like that. I fired it up on the train, and by the time I got from where I live to into London, I was just finishing one of the cutscenes. I was just like, oh really? But it was a good journey in watching that, but I didn't actually get time to play it, so I played it on the way home. It was good fun.
Yeah, I always forget about Kojima's cutscenes, and I'm sitting there just going through them, and I wouldn't mind, but I can never make head and tail of what's going on in any of them. But
the whole series is bonkers, isn't it? Really, it's just bonkers, but it's good bonkers, and it's I enjoy it. I love those games; they're really cool.
Yeah, I just completely ignore the story. It's a bit like Modern Warfare or Call of Duty. I haven't got a clue what the story's really going on with it, but just getting there and enjoy the game. I remember with Metal Gear Solid, the first one on PlayStation 1. Do you remember fighting Psycho Mantis?
Yes, absolutely. I know where you're going with this one. Yes, I do indeed.
That's one of the best boss battles I've ever had. I could not do it. And I was going mental. I was like, "What's going on here?" He just blocks me all the time. And then I tried, and then it gave me this hint, and it said like, "Oh, he can read your mind. What could you do? He can read your mind. He's scanning the port or something." And it was like, "Oh wow!" And the trick was you put your pad into the other input, into port 2 or whatever, the other controller port. And then he couldn't tell what you were going to do, and then you could beat him. And I just thought that was genius. Yeah, absolute genius.
I remember that blowing my mind because they said to you in the game, put your controller on the floor. So I did, and and then it started rumbling and moving, and they're like,
"Oh, that's it." Yeah,
I was just, I was just blown away by that. I was just like, "This is the future. This is
that's brilliant."
Rumbling joypads. This is the future.
And was it after the tanker demo that we all loved? It was amazing. And after the trailer with him running around that tanker was one with rain, and it was beautiful.
Yeah.
Was that the one that when we all bought the game, that as soon as you'd finished the tanker level, you were then changed to Raiden?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
I was so annoyed.
But that was
putting it mildly.
Yeah, no, that was such a great game. It was that was a really good kind of. I wouldn't say Easter egg, but a really good kind of turn of events, I think, where you just kind of change the character completely.
Yeah, I hate that, though. I hated it in Halo 2. I hated being the bloody Arbiter.
Right.
I don't want to be the Arbiter, I want to be Master Chief. And I don't want to be Raiden, I want to be Snake. But I must say, in Metal Gear Solid 4 on PS3, sorry, I wanted to be Raiden because he was so kick-ass. They'd sort of just made him hyper cool, and I loved Raiden in that, and then I wanted to be him. Though I haven't got around to playing Metal Gear Rising, Revengeance, I think it's called.
Yeah.
I think you're right, because you're Raiden in that, and I've never got around to playing that. Was that from Platinum Games?
Yeah, that was on PS3, wasn't it? PS3 and Xbox 360.
And Xbox as well. And that's like meant to be really good in sort of the same vein as Bayonetta, from what I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it was given away as well for free, either on a PS Plus 1 month as well. So there was, I think I remember kind of, the thing that got me with that was I remember there was an E3 demo where you were chopping melons and doing all of that, and it was all precise chopping. And I don't think the game actually quite lived up to that demo.
No, I remember that. I remember seeing that and going, wow, look at this. And it's almost that they should have had that on the Wii. Because it would have, I can imagine them demoing the Wii with twisting it and going through the melon sort of thing. But I don't think it was that, was it? It was just you did it on the joypad. But yeah, so that's what I've played. What about you?
Well, like I said, I mean, I had I had like 20 hours of flight, so I did kind of, and now with like when you're on an aeroplane now, you can start playing straight away, so you don't have to wait for the seatbelt sighting go off. So I started playing. I was playing a couple of iOS games. There was a couple of new tower defense games or a new expansion. So we had like Plants vs Zombies 2 had a new world on there, which was like a lost world, like an Inca world. So I went through that, which was good fun. And also from Insomniac, the team behind kind of Ratchet and Clank, was a tower defense game called Bad Dinos. And Bad Dinos, I think it was about £2.50, and it was a great game. I think I've done about 15 levels, and it's just great fun. It's the normal tower defense, i.e. you've got to put towers in places, but you can also capture and capture dinosaurs and turn them on the other dinosaurs or cavemen that are trying to take over your or trying to get round your course. And it was good fun. Kind of made me chuckle a few times, which was really good fun. So I was playing those two. I also got my 3DS out, and I was playing Super Mario 3D World. Again, so I kind of started a brand new game of that, and I started playing through that because now I've got for my birthday I got a 3DS XL, the new kind of 3DS XL, and the 3D is just so much better. It really does lock in now. So I played that game with like 3D full on, where before I always used to turn it off because I never found it kind of sit quite right, and if I moved I lost the 3D. But with the new 3DS, it really does just really lock. So I played through that again, and I really enjoyed it. It's such a great game. So they were my playing games, as well as watching lots of films and some TV programs. They were the three that kind of kept me entertained.
Cool. Yeah, the new 3DS, it's got like head tracking on it, hasn't it? So that it knows where you are, and it adjusts the sweet spot for where your eyes are or something.
It really does, and it works. It really does work. It's not just a gimmick, It really does previously, like I say, whenever I was playing like Zelda, the Ocarina of Time, or even that game, Mario 3D World, I just had to turn it off because it just looked fuzzy all the time. With that kind of glassesless 3D, it just looked funny. But the head tracking really does lock it in. And because I was in a seat, I was on the plane, I wasn't going anywhere. It just worked really well, and it really did add that extra dimension to that game. So I really enjoyed it.
Wow, excellent. And is that an old game, Super Mario 3D World, on 3DS?
I think it wasn't a launch title with the 3DS, but it came out not long after it came out. So it's probably been out for about maybe a year, 2 years.
And is it pretty much the same as the Wii U one?
It is. It's very similar. You've got these tiny little worlds that are all kind of broken up into different courses, and it was really good. It's a really good game. And if you're picking up a 3DS now, it's kind of a really good game to kind of play on it.
Did you do any sort of 2-player with the wife on the flight? Bit of Tetris Link Up or something like that on the original Game Boy style stuff?
No, we used to. We have done previously. We used to play Mario Kart on the plane.
But
wow. I don't know how dangerous that is on a plane because we are kind of technically Bluetoothing each other. But no, the wife was playing Kingdom Rush. So there's another tower defense game called Kingdom Rush and Kingdom Rush Origins, and both of those had a new update. So Nicola had she stayed away from both of those games because she knew that she wanted to save those for the plane. So she was watching some movies on her iPad, but also just kind of playing those most of the time.
Wow, it's the game playing, isn't it, for you guys?
It really is. It was just it was great. You're just there. You're there for 10 hours. You've got nowhere to go. So you might as well just enjoy yourself. So I was I had some comic books I was reading. I was watching Star Wars Rebels, the CGI show, and I also watched some really good movies as well. I watched kind of Chappie. I watched Chappie. What else did I watch? I watched a bit of Deus. Is it Ex Machina? Which was which is really kind of grabbed me. That was such a great film. But no, it was good. But when I got home, or when we got home, we had the ODST collection had been unlocked for those people that had suffered some pain when the Master Chief collection came out. I think you can buy
gesture.
it. Yeah, if you didn't, I think you can buy it. So, but we had the email or the message on Xbox from Microsoft, and you just hit redeem code, and it downloaded ODST. So we fired that up. So while we were getting over the jet lag, we just spent a Sunday just playing ODST, and it's really good. I forgot how good ODST was. I'm really enjoying it. It's almost like Halo Noir. You've got that amazing soundtrack with some really cool guitar riffs going on, and I just really like it. It's kind of like a Tarantino noir version of Halo. It's a lot slower than your kind of conventional Halo, but it's a really good game. I think we're about 9 of 11 levels in, so we're just going to kind of have a quick finish of that at the weekend, and then I'll probably go back to into The Witcher.
Cool. So that's co-op campaign you're playing.
Yeah, co-op campaign. So you both kind of play as the same character. So you're both kind of seeing those the stories being played out on your own screen, but we're next to each other. Our screens are next to each other, so we can just kind of look on the big screen to kind of do the cinematics and stuff like that. But it looks great. I had a quick look at some Eurogamer Digital Foundry comparison, and it really does look a lot sharper. It looks a lot smoother, and in some places a lot more detail now that they've kind of upscaled it.
Can you press Y and go back to the original graphics?
No, because on Halo 1 and Halo 2 on the Master Chief Collection, you could press, I think it was the back button on the joypad, and it did that, but it doesn't do that on ODST or Halo 4, I think. Okay,
and my other question, one of them, it was either ODST or Reach, and I missed one and played the other, but one of them was a big announcement at an E3, and they showed the bit that they showed was, I don't know, a Marine or character, because I don't think it was Master Chief, and he ran up to the spaceship, and then it launched, and then you had a space battle, and I was like, wow, this is amazing, and that was the one that I bought, and I absolutely loved it. Is that ODST or is that Reach?
No, that's Reach.
So I must have missed ODST then.
So, I mean, absolutely, I would definitely recommend jumping into ODST. It's a really good game. It's kind of similar to Reach, where you're playing different characters, but you're playing this kind of one Marine, and you get to a certain point, and there's maybe a helmet that's embedded into a screen. That's quite early on, and he kind of picks the helmet up and looks at it, and then it does a kind of a previously, and it goes back and it shows you how that helmet was embedded in the screen, and you play out that. It's a really good mechanic. So I've really enjoyed it. And the only other game that I had a quick play of yesterday was Game of Thrones Episode 4. So the new Episode 4 came out with the Telltale Game of Thrones. So I'm halfway through that. I'm going to finish that off this evening. And that's shaping up to be really good. Kind of similar to I guess Game of Thrones, the TV show. We had a couple of slow burners, but there was some interesting stuff happening. And then we get to kind of episode 4, and it starts to ramp up. So it's 6-part series. So we've got 2 more after this. But if it continues going the way it's going now, I think it's going to be a really good episode, and probably the best so far.
Yeah, I noticed there was a Telltale Deal on either Xbox or PS4 the other day, and it was like £28 on offer, and you got Game of Thrones full season, Walking Dead 1 and 2, Wolf Among Us, whatever they're up to, 1 and 2, I think, and the other one, Borderlands as well,
wow,
all together. And I thought, you know what, I wouldn't mind this, but because I just thought there's no point in the moment because I'm playing The Witcher, so I held back. But I thought that's a great deal. That was a great. I mean, loads of content there for 20. I'm sure it was about £28.
Absolutely. You know, if you imagine you've got about 2 to 3 hours per episode of those games, and each one of those is made up of about 5 episodes, that's a lot of gameplay for £28. That's a really good deal.
It is, and I remember they do bring them on offer sometimes because. A few Christmases ago on my 360 they brought Walking Dead down to about £2 for or even like £1 for the first one, or the first one was free and then the rest were at £1 each, and I got them all and I was like wow, and I completed the first one. I said this before, but I just never got around to the others, so I'm sort of still itching to go through these experiences because I like to get emotionally engaged in my games. You know, I love that kind of story driven mechanic. So yeah, I'm looking forward to playing this. It's kind of an avenue that once I've got some time, once we're finished with The Witcher and Batman and Metal Gear Solid 5, Uncharted 4 and No Man's Sky, then I'll jump in then, yeah.
Absolutely. Whenever there is a lull, sometime in 2018, maybe you can play them then.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear myself say that because I'm sort of the first one to moan that, the next gen, you know, there's not many games and stuff, but, you know, the games that do come out are quality experiences with so much content, and it's certainly, they tide you over that 2-month gap, or they bridge that 2 or 3-month gap to the next thing, and with all the indies as well, you know, it's kind of a golden age, I think, at the moment. But sorry, mate. Go on.
No, I was going to say, absolutely. I do think we are kind of, you know, there are some. We did maybe have a slow start to this gen, but I think, you know, with that and all of the stuff that we're going to be covering in our news section, I do think we are in an age, a golden age, a silver age, a bronze age, but we're definitely in an age of decent gaming.
Yeah, I quite agree. So, Game of Thrones Episode 4, classic stuff. Anything else you've been diving into?
No, well, I had a quick. I was listening to a few podcasts, and what I like to do when I'm listening to podcasts, kind of when I'm up early, is just have a quick game of like Forza Horizon or any Forza game, because I don't really listen to the soundtrack. I just listen to a podcast, and
that's a good combination. That, yeah,
it's really good, especially with Horizon. What I was doing, there was an achievement that was bugging me, and it was an achievement to drive around all of the roads in Forza Horizon, and I don't normally kind of do it, but I twigged how I could find out the roads that I hadn't driven. And on the Forza Horizon map, you know, a bit of a tip here, but on the Forza Horizon map, if the road is grey, it means you haven't been down there. So what I was doing was I was fast travelling to an area near that road that I hadn't driven down, drive around that area, and then look on my map, fast travel to another one, and I just kept doing that. And of course, when I was looking at my achievements and I was like 90% done on this achievement, I just kept going. So I had a bevy of podcasts to listen to, and I must have spent a couple of hours listening to podcasts and just driving around the countryside enjoying it, and it was really nice. So time just flew by, and I managed to get that achievement. So I think it was called the Human GPRS or GPS achievement, and that was quite cool. So I really enjoyed it, and it was a great way to spend a very early Sunday morning.
Brilliant. And Forza Horizon 2, that's the That's sort of the more arcadey one, isn't it? It's a bit less serious than the normal Forza canon, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. It is the less serious brother of the Forza series.
Is it more of a Need for Speed type thing? I don't know.
It's not as arcadey as that, but it's not as serious as like Gran Turismo or something like that. But it's still got the Forza mechanics. It's still got a lot of the physics and the driver tars that they have. So you're still kind of racing against your friends in your friends list who have played Forza. So it's good. It's a really good game. And this one, Forza Horizon 2, looks fantastic.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, I've seen it on the Fast and Furious one, and yeah, it's really nice. It looks really nice. I liked it. I've downloaded that for free and played it a little bit, and I quite like it.
Yeah, that's
cool.
I know I'm not an achievement hunter, but that is a very easy 1,000. You can in 2 hours you can get 1,000 gamer points in that.
Wow, that's even easier than King Kong on 360.
Absolutely, and a lot prettier. And a lot. So should we get into our news section? So this week's news, and in this week's news section, we're going to talk about Fallout 4. Fallout 4. We're going to talk about Fallout 4. We're going to talk about the gaming industry has just basically sprung leaks everywhere. We're getting close to E3, and also Lost Spark action figures. That's right, you heard it here. Lost Spark action figures are going to be available from ASDA. Kind of. So Darren, let's kick us off with possibly the best news for this week, and that's Fallout 4.
Yeah, so Fallout 4 has been announced that it is definitely a thing. Hooray! It's coming out, and we had a magnificent trailer the other day that was released after a timer at the Fallout4.com and on the Bethesda website, and the internet seemed to pretty much explode. My Twitter feed, which is a new thing for me. I'd only just got onto Twitter, but it was just like every single post or tweet was just like that. Please stand by sort of graphic. And then when it was released, I sort of thought with Twitter it's great. I don't even need to look at my news websites anymore. I can just look at Twitter because all the news just pops up instantly on there. It's really cool.
Absolutely. Depending on who you're following, you can really get like a good feel of kind of what that hot new thing is and when it's happening. The one thing, I mean, when that site went live, it was probably okay for you guys in the UK, but because I was in San Francisco, it was 6:30. I was on holiday, and I had to get up at 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah, it was like 3:30 here, wasn't it? Yeah.
I did get up, had my headphones on and my iPad ready, so ready for that kind of 6:45 or something like that.
Oh, the best thing was it started and it was just like started going dum 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 dum, and I was like, oh yay, they're going to use the ink spots again. I thought it was going to be the exact same tune, but it wasn't. It was still the ink spots. But I remember at the time of Fallout 3, I loved that trailer so much. It's up there with my favourite trailers of all time. I don't think I'll list the rest. Maybe we'll talk about that another time. But I've got some trailers that I've really loved. Dead Island being another one. That's just one. I really loved that. I had no bearing on the actual game. But Fallout 3, I loved the trailer. I loved the way it zoomed back in the bus. And at first, it sort of just looked normal. And then you realised it was sort of a post-apocalyptic world. And then it was like, oh, it never changes. But that music, I remember we all got that into it, me and my mates, that we all bought the album by the Ink Spots, and we realised, yeah, we were like, oh, they're so cool, this group, we want to hear more of it. And every tune on the album has got the same. Well, every tune on the album is the same. Every song has the same tune. Pretty much every song as we went through the tunes, they're all like doom doo doom doo doom doo doom doo doom, but there's just different words. And so when it started, I was like, wow, they're going to use the same one. Just nostalgia, hooray. I love a bit of nostalgia, mate. And I was like, this is fantastic. And then they started singing it, and I was like, it's one of these shifty tunes. Well, another Ink Spots song where they're singing a different song, but it's almost the exact same tune as I Don't Want to Let the World on Fire, or whatever it's called from Fallout 3. But yeah, so that started, and I was just like, as soon as that music started, it just took me back to remembering the trailer of Fallout 3 and playing Fallout 3, and I just thought it was a perfect start to the trailer. And then we got to see, the dog. Is it a German Shepherd dog, sort of like running around, and the way that it kept zooming in to, or not zooming in, but transitioning in to the sort of days before the bomb went off. So I'm wondering in this one maybe if you'll do a bit of playing with the characters.
I was going to ask you that. Do you think that's a bit of gameplay footage that they showed us there? With the before it all goes to hell. Do you think we're going to get like a kind of bit of a before and after with this one, or was it just a flashback?
Well, do you remember on Fallout 3, the way that the beginning of the game, I thought it was so genius for your character. You basically woke up, didn't you, in the vault, and you played the period of being an adolescent, as a child and an adolescent and stuff. And then it made the moment when the vault opens just so magnificent and breathtaking as you saw the wasteland in front of you. I'm thinking, because they sort of gathered around that crib, and I think there was a baby in there. I don't think it showed it, but I was thinking that maybe you're that baby.
No, there was at the start, before they kind of switched back to the dog, there was like a baby being lowered, because a few people on Twitter, it's quite funny, when that trailer was happening, when it was a trailer, and people were saying that the graphics looked a bit clunky, and I was very close to kind of having a bit of rage and going, it's
Whoa.
a trailer, do you know what I mean? You're not even seeing gameplay yet, just let it be, just enjoy it, just enjoy it, Twitter, it looks good. But yeah, no, there's definitely, because there were some other bits that really piqued my interest when they started showing you the different worlds or the different areas of the world. Yeah,
especially that dark one. That took me. I was like, whoa, look at that with the lighting. I just thought, that looks cool.
I thought that was really well lit. I don't know about you. I just thought, when I saw that, I was like, yeah, I like this. This looks good. It looks good. And then when you suddenly switch back to Twitter and people are going, oh, the graphics look, I'm just like, what were you looking at? Yeah,
it's the curse of the entitled gamer, isn't it?
It really is.
It's kind of as if you haven't got a voice, or you can't stand out unless you're hating on something or complaining about a few frames per second too little and all that. But yeah, I thought it looked really good. I thought that it was all in game. That whole trailer was in game. Anyway, it's all in game footage from what I read. And yeah, so my theory would be that your character is that baby, just born just at the brink of everything kicking off. And then you get like 30. Maybe you're safely carried to a vault. You're one of the chosen ones, or the lucky ones as well that get safely smuggled into Vault 101, because I think it's the same vault that they're going to use.
No, this time it's Vault 111. They had a big thing where they're kind of spinning around. It was Vault 111. Yes.
Oh wow, right, okay. And then you grow up maybe. So I'm thinking that could be the angle, and maybe the dog's a puppy. And
right.
No, because he's not going to last 30 years. Well, I don't know. But
so what's that dog? Because I saw a lot of people again on kind of Twitter, Facebook, and stuff. They kept referring to him as dog meat. Was that Fallout 3 where it was called dog meat, or were they just being cruel?
No, I think in every Fallout game there's been a dog. I don't know if it's always been called dog meat, because I only hopped on board on Fallout 3, which was the first person one, wasn't it? The other ones were sort of isometric, almost like Syndicate, if you know that.
Absolutely,
that sort of game.
And I think Fallout 3 was the first one that hit consoles as well, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. And those other games are supposed to be really good as well, but it's just time, isn't it? We can't play every game ever.
No.
But yeah, so you got a dog in Fallout 3, and he was called Dog Meat. That was his name, and I think he could die. I took great pains to never have any harm come to him, and I loved Fallout 3, and I'd sort of forgotten about it, and I quite like this. I like this kind of. This is a long break, and I'm ready for it. A bit like what we were saying about Rock Band and things like that. I'm ready for this now. And my first impression, I watched the trailer. The weird thing about the Fallout universe is this 50s future parallel universe where they've got all this better tech, but in the 50s. I'm not a great fan of the 50s stuff or the 50s look. Just a personal thing, but I still love Fallout 3, and you just get into it, and I do actually like the fact that the radio was playing those 50s tunes and stuff, and it sort of hooks me in. Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's never really grabbed me. But I did love Fallout 3. What was I trying to say then? Oh, I don't know. But it's looking really good.
No, it looks fantastic. I mean, it's set in Boston, which was quite cool. So they've changed the setting from kind of Fallout 3. And I did notice there was one shot in the trailer that really piqued my interest, which was there was a ship, like a big galleon, but it had rockets on it. So it was almost like, a bit of Bioshockiness kind of in it as well, if that's even a word. But a bit of Bioshockiness was kind of there as well. And I know Fallout did all of that before, but it was very nice. It looked fantastic. And there's a lot of people speculating that it could be released this year, but I guess we'll have to see next week.
For me, this is the perfect announcement. If it pans out as I hope, which I'm hoping it is a this year release, it's sort of like they've kept it nice and quiet. They've been beavering away at it. They've sealed all the leaks. They've plugged all the holes. They've given us a fantastic trailer with in-game footage. They've got a lot of buzz here. They've got a lot of momentum, and I'm thinking it's going to be released. I think maybe it's going to be November release, and I'm hoping it is. And then for me, it's that's the way it should be. I'm sick and tired of waiting years and years and years and years, for something. Just don't announce it. Just keep it under wraps and let's have a surprise. I was looking back over some past E3s, and do you remember the Saturn? When Sega announced the Saturn at E3, it was available the next day.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And that kind of stuff just doesn't happen. And I'm the same as you. I mean, that trailer blew me away because I was just expecting something a bit like that animated GIF that we had for Doom. I expected to say, you'll see more E3 next week. That's what I was expecting from that announcement. But you got a whole kind of 3.5 minute trailer with a lot of information in there.
Yeah, I kind of wish that they would have just not said anything until E3, because I like E3. For me, E3 is the home of all this stuff.
Yes.
And, as you said about this leaks springing everywhere, save it all for E3, unless there's more. And if that's just an hors d'oeuvre and they've got more, like at E3, they're going to give us another 3 minutes of more rounded view of the game, and then say, oh yeah, and it's going to be released on this date, bang. And it's not going to be, 2017 or something. It's going to be like sort of in the next few months. I'll be like, yeah, that's fair enough. But then if there's no mention of it, or if there's nothing to compete with it, it's sort of like, well, why are you doing this? Why aren't you riding on E3? What's the point in even going to E3? But I suppose we'll see what happens.
Well, absolutely. I mean, next Sunday, Bethesda have their own conference. This is the first time that they've ever done it. So normally we just get conferences from Ubisoft, EA, Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft, but Bethesda have kind of put themselves in it. So we have a whole, I think it's either 90 minutes or 2 hours with them. So I reckon we're going to see some gameplay. I reckon they're going to show us a level or show us some of the mechanics, because, they've got a long time to show off a handful of games, so that's going to be a very interesting one, and I'm definitely going to be up and watching that live to kind of start E3 off. But I'm the same as you. We alluded at the top of the news section that there's just so many leaks this week, and you can't look at a gaming news site at the moment without seeing something being leaked. And or announced early. Now, whether this is because it was going to be leaked, somebody said that they were going to leak Fallout 4, so they wanted to just control that message, and they controlled it really well. They had us all sitting there watching that website go live. So maybe they just wanted to control the message and just get it out there. But I remember back in the day, E3 was the place where you would be surprised. It would be surprise after surprise after surprise. Where now we're just going to go, yeah, we know about that. Yeah, we know about that. So like I say, are they clearing their plates? Microsoft did some announcing yesterday. So are they just kind of getting all that stuff out of the way so they can just hit us with some new IPs or some stuff that we don't know about? It kind of makes me excited. It kind of makes me want to maybe go dark next Monday and stay away from the internet. A, because of Game of Thrones spoilers for that final episode, and B, because when I do sit down and watch those conferences, I really want to be surprised. I'm sitting there to be surprised. So I want to sit there and get excited. When they tell me to get excited. Yeah,
I'm exactly the same. I'm there, and all I want is sort of that Christmas feeling when something unexpected happens that's amazing, some amazing announcement. And the past few have been underwhelming for me. Well, I don't know about the past few. I can't cast my mind back that far. But certainly last year's, I don't know, I was up and down last year's. Microsoft sort of when it sank in and I processed what they were saying, I was sort of like, no, I'm not really happy with all this DRM stuff. Even though we've talked about this before, even though I use my Xbox, apart from that you use a lot of digital downloads, my Xbox is always on. I don't really care about that. It's the way I use it. But I was just sort of thinking, yeah, but I don't think I don't know. It didn't really affect me because I would have it on all the time. But I think what it was that if I chose to, it was taking away the choice annoyed me.
Yeah. But that was 2 E3s back. See, this is you showing your age because that was actually 2013 when they announced all of that. So last year was Microsoft doing their games conference when they just kind of there was no mention of TV or media or anything like that. It was just it was just like bam, here's Halo Master Chief Collection, bam, here's a teaser for this, and it was just that.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. That's how much it scarred me. You see, it's imprinted on my brain.
Well, do you know what? Microsoft are doing well, and they're kind of getting out of that funk, I think. But that E3 really has impacted the way a lot of people see Microsoft. Because even now, when I talk to new friends who haven't got a next-gen console, they always go, I don't want to do Microsoft because they had that bad conference and they said this, they said that. And you end up almost defending the Xbox. This isn't my job, but I'm defending the Xbox, because your information's incorrect and it's better. And it's really interesting how that one show really has affected Microsoft and the Xbox.
Yeah, monumentally cocked it up, didn't they? I mean, somebody, I don't know if they would have played the blame game, but maybe if they followed the breadcrumb trail somewhere, some PR person, somebody with what they perceived as the message that people wanted to hear about this next gen console that had invested so much money and time in. Somebody must have been, had a strongly worded conversation with one of the executives there, surely, but. It's all okay now. The console's out.
I think that's why we've got Phil Spencer as head of Xbox now, because the chap who was there before, whose name escapes me,
Don Mastrick.
It could have been. That's why he's gone, because we've got Phil Spencer, who is a gamer. I think the other day online they announced kind of how long, or somebody shared how long Phil Spencer's been playing some games. And he's been playing Forza longer than I have. I think. So he's he either gets an intern to do it for him, or he's seriously pumping a lot of time into some of those games.
I think they got that right, and I can imagine the conversation would have gone down that, right, the last guy was a bit of a suit. He didn't have that empathy. I don't think he did. He didn't win me over as a gamer, and they thought we need somebody who's going to be sort of an ambassador, not just of the corporate image of Xbox, but also you're going to be able to see that he's a gamer. He's going to sort of exude his passion for gaming. And he walked out on stage in one of his many T-shirts he keeps changing all the time with different games on. And I don't know what it is about him, but I've never met him. I've only seen him do these sort of keynotes and things. But there's something about him that I sort of just feel that he's a gamer. I feel more that he's on the wavelength and on the side of the gamers, and I never felt that with the other guy.
No, absolutely. If you ever listen to a podcast and listen to interviews, you realise this chap is someone who has played games for a long time. And I think when you have that position, I think it really does matter. It matters that you know that. I mean, someone was saying the other day that E3 isn't for. I think they were saying because E3 this year, they've given, I think, an extra 5,000 tickets have been given to people who show their wares at E3 so they can let their customers in. So Microsoft have some, Nintendo have some, anyone who is promoting. And there was a couple of podcasts I was listening to where they were moaning about this, saying, there's already too many people here. And E3 isn't really for the gamer. They say it's more for media, and it's for people that are investing in gaming. So that's probably why they thought, well, we've got to have a suit, because he's got to talk to the businessman that's sitting in the crowd looking at, I can put some shelf space for this, or I can dedicate half of my stores to Microsoft. But I think they realised, and it's quite interesting that they woke up, they woke up after they had a bad one, that they realised that, everybody's looking at this, My dad knows about E3. It's on every news. It's on the morning TV. It's a big event, and there's a lot of eyes on LA, and there will be a lot of eyes on LA next week as well.
Yeah, it's certainly evolved. I mean, if you look back and look at some YouTube clips of E3, say when the PlayStation 1 was announced, and the Sony executives stood in front of some grubby curtain. It's a world apart from the all singing, all dancing, spectacular event that we see these days, and it has sort of. It's evolved. It's still there for the industry, obviously, and for the press, and I'm sure for the investors. But it has become sort of a platform for the consumer as well. It's sort of, I don't know if any other industry, well, maybe they do, but I think it's rare that you would have such a massive event that's got such a broad appeal for both, the industry and the fans of the product out of the industry. I think that's the true beauty of gaming, really, just shining out there.
No, absolutely, and it shows how big the gaming industry is now, because it used to be I think it was part of the CES, which happens in Vegas in January. It used to be just a sideline for that. It used to be, and also we've got all this core electronic stuff, and there's also games are up the back showing some stuff, and now it's a full week, and everybody's there, and it's exciting times. So, And speaking of those leaks about E3, I mean, we've had so many. I mean, one of the ones that happened this week was probably going to spoil Sony's conference. Was that Destiny? I know they like to kind of trickle out Destiny. I know they like to kind of have Destiny on their conference, because that's always like a one-up to Microsoft that they've got Bungie over there showing their wares. But Destiny's next big release, so one that we didn't really know about. We knew we had 2 DLC packs, but Destiny's next release is a release called The Taken King. Now this was leaked via some marketing materials that were obtained by Kotaku. So the details about this new expansion called The Taken King was that each subclass, I'm going to get a bit Destiny nerdy now, but each subclass, each Destiny class gets an additional subclass. There's going to be 12 missions. There's going to be a raid, of course. There's multiplayer maps, and it's going to be coming out the 9th of September, and it's going to cost £34. So it's quite expensive, I think, for a piece of DLC. Where I think before, if you bought the season pass, I think the season pass was £30. But this Taken King, according to this marketing material, is going to cost $39.99, which roughly equates to about £35. So it's going to be quite a big chunk of change for maybe 12 missions. That could take you a while, but there's obviously going to be a new raid, new multiplayer maps. So it was quite interesting that this came out, and I think it was also came out. There was a Red Bull promotion as well, which kind of gives you bonus XP for drinking more cans of Red Bull. So there you get some codes, and you can put that in, and you can get bonus XP in Destiny. So it's definitely going to keep on trucking. I know a lot of people was thinking that maybe we would get a Destiny 2 at E3, but it looks like the year of DLC is going to continue, and definitely we've got something happening in September. But I'll be interested to see what Bungie say at either Microsoft or Sony's conference.
The Destiny teat is being severely milked. I bet it's very sore. I mean, I was getting a bit. The rage was building in me. Then I was thinking, what is this nonsense? But then when you told me about the Red Bull codes, then I was like, oh yeah, obviously it's okay. It's going to be well worth the money. Oh my goodness me, man! So if you bought the season pass, would this have been included? Would this?
No, this isn't included.
So
the
this
season
is the
pass
first.
Just gave you 2. It gave you got released, so you got the game, which was £40. Then you bought the season pass, which was £30, and that was for 2 pieces of content. They've already been, so we've had those, and now this is something completely separate. And they reckon there's going to be more of them. I think there was something leaked earlier in the year, and it was about 3 or 4 additional content packages that will drop, within the next 12 months.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I don't like it. I don't like the practice of what they're doing. It puts me off the game even more. The thing is, people that are invested in the game and enjoying it, they'll buy it because they're enjoying it, and that's fine, But for me, lack of story, lack of variety. I can't believe that. What I think, if I was the ruler of the world, I'd want everybody to leave it in their droves and teach Bungie a lesson to not do this about the practices. I don't agree with it. I just think They should have put a lot more in the original package. There should have been a lot more story. And I've read numerous articles that say that actually it was more fleshed out and there was going to be more in it. But is it Activision, the publisher?
Yes.
But
yes,
basically Activision were like, no, we don't want that. We don't want that. We want to basically, strip out all that good stuff and just get it out like this. We're in a rush and we're just going to milk and milk and milk for all the extra content. And then it was like, oh yeah, but there's going to be a story. Don't worry, it's going to come in the DLC. It's not though, has it? The last DLC had no raid on it, but it had some kind of extra arena match. I don't know. I suppose it's horses for courses. If the DLC provides what you're after, then that's great. And if you're happy to pay, that's fantastic. And it's a great looking game, and I enjoyed it. But when I'm trawling around reading forums, the best things that I hear for people is that they use it a little bit like the phone. So they chat with their friend while playing Destiny, and that's what they do. So they're actually having a conversation, just catching up about this and that, while plodding around in Destiny, shooting some stuff. And the repetition and the bullet sponge bosses, man. And then to do this as well, I can't see where the value is. This is the thing that's annoying me. I try and be a bit more articulate instead of just sighing and being exasperated. I can't see where the value is to charge that amount of money for an add-on. It's like it's almost a full game's price, and the game it's got a history of disappointment. So where's the reward for reward for the loyal? That doesn't seem like a reward for the loyal gamers that have played it and bought all the DLC. It's just like, oh well, you're such a mug that you've played all this up to now and paid more money. So here you can pay another $35 or £35 or $40, whatever it is, and we'll give you just about the bare minimum of acceptability that we can. But I bet it's not going to offer much substance. I hope it does. To the fans of it, I hope it does. But for me,
See, for me, when I saw this announcement, I got quite excited because I like Destiny. I've played the other two expansions. I was talking last week about how I was playing House of Wolves, and both Nicola and I really enjoy it. It is light on story. I can't argue with that. And when I was looking at the announcement, they were saying new subclasses. I was like, that's awesome. It's always good to have a new kind of fancy move. 12 missions, yeah, that's really cool. A raid. I still haven't done one of those, but I'm excited to do them.
Good.
And multiplayer, don't really care about that. But then when they hit you with the $34.99 price tag, I was quite close to like, where are you getting these prices? Where do you think that this is acceptable? So it will have to be something incredibly special, and maybe they will show it at Sony, Microsoft, or the somewhere they will show it at E3, and it has to be pretty exceptional for me to part with that, because I'm not just paying for it once. We have separate copies of Destiny, so that's going to be £70 for both the wife and I to just continue playing Destiny.
Are you starting to feel a little bit let down by them?
I haven't yet, not yet, but because I quite enjoyed that kind of just doing the repetitive missions and the weekly missions, and I got very big into Halo Reach when they had all of their daily missions where you went off and did this or went off and did that, and I really enjoyed that to kind of build XP and level up. There was something very satisfying about getting to the next level.
Yeah, that was cool. That was a great innovation, but I don't remember that they charged you extra for it.
No, they didn't. But it will be interesting to see what happens at E3, and whether they do kind of wow you with a trailer that'll have you kind of, or have me kind of reaching for my wallet.
And me reaching for my words on a plate and eating them up. I hope it does, because no one was more ecstatic than me when they revealed Destiny at the E3. When they revealed Destiny, I remember the guy jumping over the cars towards the cave or whatever it was, and I was like, wow, this is great, and it's Bungie, and I was I was completely invested. I mean, I bought the game. I bought a PS4 because of Destiny.
Yeah.
I got the white white PS4 Destiny pack. And I loved it. I was like, this is cool, and I was playing it, and I played it for a good while. I got up to level 24, 25 or something, and I did enjoy it. I can't knock them. It's very playable. The controls are tight. It's a sweet game, but I just started getting more and more annoyed about. I felt that they hadn't delivered on a lot of the promises. I was expecting this engaging storyline and an evolving, ongoing multiplayer experience. The story and that we were all in it together in this big overarching story. You know, that's sort of the feeling I got from when they presented it originally, and it turned out it was just sort of not that. But I won't knock it. It's good fun. I had some good fun with it, but I drew a line. I just thought, well, you know, for me, it's not worth playing anymore. I've played it. And unless there's something radically different coming up, then there's more important or stuff for me I'd rather play, basically. And so, I mean, I shouldn't really be even bothering to get passionate about it because, you know, each to their own and all that. But it's me. I'm disappointed. I wanted more out of it, and they didn't deliver humph.
Well, I'll keep an eye on it over E3, and then maybe I'll report back and let you know. Maybe I can convince you to to get that copy back from your nephew, and maybe and play the new DLC.
Yeah, and I tell you, he's loving it. You know, I often see that he's on when I put the PS4 on, and he's there playing Destiny, and I think, you know what? If I'm not playing it, that's a good home. He's enjoying it and he's loving it, and I'm sure there's many, many people like him that are loving it. And, you know, like yourself. And I'm not saying anything bad about you guys. I'm just a bit disappointed. I just wanted more.
No, absolutely. I remember I was. It was about the 15th of February when they first announced Destiny, and I know that for a fact because I was in Disneyland in Florida on my 40th birthday a couple of years ago, and I remember being in Disneyland, and they had awesome Wi-Fi in Disneyland, and I remember just kind of sitting down. We were taking a break, grabbing a coffee, and I'm just watching this reveal for Destiny happen from Bungie, and I was just like, if this game lives up to all the things that you guys are promising right now, this is just going to be the only game I need. You know, it was from the makers of Halo. It looked a bit like an MMO. It was leveling up. It kind of looked a bit of a cross between Borderlands and Halo, and I was just like, oh, I want this game so much. And you know, and there was a short expectation. It did fall short when I started playing the alphas and the betas, but like I say, I've plumped a lot of hours into it, and I do enjoy it. I won't say I don't, but it's I'm just hoping that this DLC is worth it, because I won't just. There's a lot more games that are out there that I could spend that £35 on, so it has to be something special. If I'm watching the Sony conference this time next week and they're blowing me away, then I'll be the first one to say, you know, take my money.
Yeah, and that's all I want. I want them to make me. I want them to extract my cash, because that means something's great.
Absolutely. And speaking of something that I want to spend my money on, now this is something that you put into the news, and I kind of alluded at the top. ASDA, Lost Spark Pod figures. Tell me about this. Yeah. Tell me about this, because it's just like, I want to go to ASDA now.
We shouldn't have actually said ASDA, and we could have been charging like £200 or something. So
I don't think anyone's going to pay £200 for an action figure of me.
Of course they are, man. Of course I would. But yeah, so I don't even know where I saw this or how I found it. But basically, at ASDA, they're doing they can make an action figure or a figurine of a person or a group of people. So you make an appointment, you go over to ASDA, and they've got some kind of pod that you go in. And it takes 12 seconds to do this sort of 360 picture of you, or you and your wife, or your child, or a family picture, or whatever. And then in 21 days' time, you get a 7-inch figurine of whatever you put in the pod. So be it yourself, be it yourself and your wife, or whatever it is, or, you know. And they look pretty cool. I'm thinking of getting one. I think they're really good.
This is so awesome. Now, if I went there wearing one of my Dark Bunny tees, right, would my action figure have that same T-shirt?
Yeah, it's exactly what you're wearing, and they look pretty detailed. I mean, they're obviously 3D printed, but they look really. I mean, they're not absolutely lifelike, you know, but they're looking pretty good. I would like to see a sample. Really, there's a YouTube video on here, and that looks pretty good. But it's on the site. I'd like to see one physically without shelling out. If you want one for one person, an adult, which is over, I think that's over 16 and up, for a 7-inch figurine, it's £59. So you could mark your life. You know, you could have one every birthday and have a little. You could have a little cabinet, couldn't you?
Well, I was just thinking, that's Nicola's Christmas present sorted. She's getting a 3D figure of me.
Wow,
lucky lady.
Yeah, man, and she won't want for anything else.
She won't. That's it. Done. She's just sorted for the rest of her life.
But it's cool. I'm really thinking of going and getting one of these. They're really cool. It's got a few pictures of the different people. It's got what looks like a granddad and a grandma with a little baby. and a bride and groom. I can't imagine going into Asda in your full, sort of groom and bride outfit. There's a little kid who's just he's in a karate outfit and he's just got his orange belt, and he's there as a figurine, and a little girl in a ballerina outfit, and it's just what a great way to mark an occasion. If you've done something, you could just go in, get it snapped. Like you say with your Dark Bunny tees or whatever.
Yeah.
You've just got that trophy, or you've just done something. Take it with you. Go and get yourself scanned, and have a figurine forever to mark it. And you could do it for people with kids. You could do it on every so often, every birthday or every other birthday.
Yeah.
And you could have a little like a Russian doll thing going on as they sort of grow up. And I just think it's
3D Russian doll thing.
It is, yeah. Or you could even sort of, some weird, creepy people could try and blag people that they really like into the pod occasionally, unsuspectingly, and they sort of buy these figures of them without, unbeknownst to them, and make up a collection. Now that is freaky. Yeah. Maybe that's a bit too much of my dark side coming out.
See, the thing that worries me is Asda is a 24-hour supermarket, right? So Friday night. Somewhere, there's going to be some naked drunkenness. And it's like, you imagine turning up to work in the 3D factory on the Monday morning and you've got that to paint. It's just like, oh god, I want to do this so much. I'm going to see if I can find. I'm sure there's an Asda somewhere. I need to find one that does this. I need to.
They'll probably do it stateside as well in Walmart, I imagine. But imagine, like they say, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, and it's like you come back home. 21 days later, you get this box, and you open it, and I don't know, there's yourself with your trousers down.
The mind boggles at the
and who knows what else would be happening. Yeah,
but that sounds so cool. I'm going to check that out. We'll stick the link to that in the podcast notes, just in case you want to click on Asda's website and get a 3D booking, or do a 3D booking for your 3D full body scan, and we'll let you know if we do find one, and maybe we'll post some pictures if we do get one of us, because I think I have to do this now.
I'm thinking of doing it, and on the site, they look pretty realistic, They look pretty realistic, but that's on the website. So as I say, I'd just like to see one finished. So I'm going to look into it. I think, like you say, it's funny. It's funny.
Awesome.
And yeah, so that's something.
Yes,
that's
a thing that's going to happen.
Yeah,
absolutely. Another thing that's going to happen is, I think, and it's already happened in this country, is that Microsoft yesterday unveiled a new 1 terabyte console. So we've got a new kind of Xbox One 1 terabyte. It comes with a copy of the Master Chief Collection, so I guess that's probably a digital download. And that's available. I think it's out now. It's £349 in the UK, and it's out now for us, and I think it comes out later for the people in the US. But it's out now, I think, on Amazon and both Game. Now, the cool thing about this console is that it comes with the brand new controller. So it comes with that new updated controller. Now, this controller, a couple of new features. I think there's something to do with the triggers. They've had a bit of an adjustment. It also handles over-the-air updates as well. So at the moment, if you want to update your controller, you have to plug it in via micro USB into the unit. But this one handles that over the air, and also for the first time, they also have an audio improvement. So they've stuck in a 3.5mm stereo jack. I think that's right, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, straight into the controller rather than having a peripheral that plugs in to give you that functionality. Yeah.
So I mean, this is fantastic. A little bit late. I just pulled the trigger, as I was talking about in our last podcast. I just pulled the trigger on those Turtle Beach headsets because now what that means is now that my kind of sound cancelling iPhone Bose headphones would work perfectly on those new controllers. So I could have just bought myself a new controller instead of shelling out the money I did for those Turtle Beach. But ho-hum, so is the early adopter. But I mean, and one of the things they release, as well as you get like the standard black, and I think the change to this console, not only is it the 1 terabyte, it's also a matte finish as well. So normally you get the kind of, it's a bit shiny on one side. With the Xbox, this one's got a matte finish. But as well as that, they also released something called a Covert Forces controller. And I watched a Periscope yesterday, which is what all the new cool kids are doing. But I watched a Periscope of Major Nelson unboxing one of these Covert Forces controller. And I must admit, the media that was up on Xbox's website made it look a lot cooler than it did in real life. Because when I saw it, it's different colours of grey. It looks very cool. Looks like maybe like some army fatigues, but it looks a lot cooler on the website than it does in actual like in person. But I still might get one because I'm not in the market for a new Xbox One. We already have two, but I could probably do with a new controller, especially one that does updates over the air.
So, is the Covert Forces one? Is that the new one, or is that a skinned model of the new one?
Yep, no, the Covert Forces is a special edition of the new controller. So this new controller, which is now standard, which is the new standard, which is, like I say, out in the UK now and the US later, that Covert Forces is the first kind of special edition version of that console.
The strange thing with this is that I'm used to seeing skinned controllers when they're sort of been tied in with a game. And the look of this, I was expecting this to say, Black Ops 3, special edition Covert Forces, but it's not. It's just Covert Forces, isn't it? It's just its own thing by the look of it.
No, absolutely. Whether they'll bundle it, maybe in a Call of Duty bundle later in the year, but this is definitely just a thing that's out now. Wow.
And when I first saw it, I know what you mean about saying that it sort of looks better on the website than real life, because I thought, that sort of camo pattern, it looked to me on the first screenshot that I saw that it was sort of all angular, if you know what I mean, that it was sort of sculpted, and each one of those was, how can I describe it, almost like, like a diamond, that it sort of like went angularly round. So instead of being smooth, it sort of had all these angles, and each one of those was a different angle, but it still felt good. And then I looked at like some more pictures of it, and it's just the same, but with that camo skin. I don't really like the camo skin. Personally, I like my controllers just to be a controller, unless it says Day 1 edition. I quite like that.
Yes.
And have you noticed the Day 1 edition's got a nicer finish than the standard controllers? Or have you not got a standard controller?
No, I haven't got a standard controller because Nicola and I both got Day 1 consoles when they came out. We both got Day 1, so we both have that Day 1 controller.
Well, I got my Day 1 one, and then I got an extra controller too. And it's not as nice. It's not got as nice a finish. It's not got the same matte finish as the Day 1 edition. So it's quite just it's not that important, but there is a difference. So you should think yourself lucky with your two Xbox One Day 1 edition controllers, because they are a bit better, though. Obviously now slightly superseded with this new controller.
Yeah.
I'm not going to leap out and buy one. But it's good that they keep on evolving and improving the hardware. It always disappoints me a bit when they do this. Like say if they bring out a slim edition or a 1 terabyte edition and it's the same price, and I know that it's like, oh well, yeah, but you've had yours for 2 years or whatever it's been. But I'm always like, yeah, but they shouldn't penalise me. It's not fair. They should reimburse all the early adopters, the loyal people that stood there from the start. They're not allowed to improve consoles. That's not what it's about. It's about everybody's at the same level. But I am an early adopter. I think we've talked about this previously. When I was talking about my headphones, but that's the price you pay. You're saying that they should reimburse you. You have had months and months of quality gaming. So I sound like a Microsoft ever. You've had months of quality gaming. So you've had a lot of really good good times with it, so that's where that money's gone. And it's quite nice to see it. I was quite surprised to see just a 1 terabyte hard drive, because a lot of my games are digital. I've already stuck a 2 terabyte hard drive into the back of my Xbox One, which I'm 45%. I've already 45% filled that hard drive already. So I was expecting maybe at least a 2 terabyte, but 1 terabyte's good. You just have to be just handle your storage better. I know there's a lot of games maybe I could delete or just remove the game and not the save from that hard drive. But no, it's an interesting one. I actually thought that E3 would bring maybe a 4K version of the Xbox, or the UHD ready Xbox, or UHD ready PlayStation. So it'd be interesting to see what PlayStation do next. Yeah, it certainly will, but they're keeping a bit quiet at the moment, aren't they? As they should, in the light of the big singing, dancing E3 that's around the corner. And they also announced the wireless adapter, haven't they, for the Xbox controller?
So this is a wireless adapter for PC, isn't it? So it enables you to use your Xbox One controller, which I think is potentially one of the best controllers out there, with a PC. So you stick that dongle into your PC, and then you can use your Xbox One controller to play games on a PC. And I just think this is quite an interesting move, which is A, they're getting this announcement out before E3, so they don't have to deal with any of that during the conference. And B, they're just showing how kind of unified both the Xbox and the PC could be. With just kind of bringing them a little bit closer, where you have the same controller to do both things.
Yeah. Slowly and softly, more and more things are becoming more universal in the PC or the Microsoft PC and Xbox world. It's great to be able to use an Xbox controller on PC. I've used it in the past with a 360 controller, and I loved it. It was great. I bought one of the little adapters. This one looks cooler actually than the old one that I did have. But it will only work if you've got Windows 10. They're saying so. It's going to be something. Presumably, it'll get released when Windows 10 comes out in July the 9th, or whenever it is. But they're definitely moving everything closer together, it seems. But a great peripheral. I mean, like you say, if you're going to play with a pad, then it's probably the best pad you can use.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And being compatible with Windows 10, everybody should download Windows 10. It's going to be free, isn't it, for a year? So, you have a good window there to kind of download it for free and upgrade whatever platform you have to Windows 10. So, it could be, that would definitely be. I mean, you and I were chatting again and talking about kind of pulling the trigger on a PC. I mean, I think I might wait and see what Microsoft's conference does and what they announce regarding PC and Windows 10 gaming. And then, I'm itching to buy a PC.
Yeah, I'm the same. I've got some time though, because I've made my peace with that. I'm not going to get one until Vive is out. That's the minimum. Vive has to be out, but Vive's due out in the fall or in the autumn. Apparently, it's going to beat Oculus if they don't if it doesn't get delayed. If that comes out, and it's as good as I expect, I'm getting a PC and I'm going to get that. I'm just going to jump on that pre-order so quick. And fingers crossed that they'll ship it here and all the rest of it to UK. But they rolled out to developers last week, I think it was. But they're not just rolling out to any old developer like Oculus. They're rolling out to specific developers that have got to fit certain criteria. Big budget sort of people. But that's great that they're going to get out there. So we'll probably start to hear more and more about that, and maybe something at E3 as well, hopefully. But yeah, that's for me. That's the catalyst. So you've got this. Obviously they're going to talk about this at the Windows event, or what's going to happen. But I'm going to hold tight because I want my technology to be as up to date as possible when I jump on VR. And that's sort of what I've decided. So we'll see what happens there. And if you get one earlier, I'll be very interested to hear about I'll be very jealous to hear about all your fantastic experiences at 4K, 120 FPS.
Absolutely. Like I say, I just want to find out what Microsoft are doing, how they are going to almost unite these two platforms that are not just streaming, because my PC is pretty much going to sit next to the Xbox One, so I don't really need to do streaming. They're both going to be connected to the same 4K amp, so I don't need to do that, because it's just a switch of a control, one press on a button, and I'm into that other input, so I don't need to do that. But I would be interested to see how they connect them and what fun stuff they do.
Yeah, me too, definitely. Another item I saw. This was fairly recent today or yesterday, I think it was, that I saw this. Dark Souls 3 has been sort of leaked. Some artwork has been found that says Dark Souls. It's basically an advert for Dark Souls 3 teaser shot. Dark Souls 3 early 2016.
Wow.
Yeah, so it seems that IGN.com have got hold of some promotional material that shows a picture of a teaser poster for Dark Souls 3, and all it says on it is Dark Souls 3 early 2016. So that's good news. If you're into your Souls games, as I am, I think that's probably about a good release date. I've not finished Bloodborne yet, and I think many people will have. But you can't have too many of these games at once. I wouldn't really want these coming out year on year because they're just a bit too bleak. You know, you can't have too much of this. It's an effort, you know, to play through them. It sort of pulls your mirth down somewhat. You certainly need a bit of Mario or something afterwards. So I think that's good. You know, early 2016, I'm expecting that I'll be ready for Dark Souls 3. And yeah, it's sort of it's a double-edged sword really because I love the games, but I know that they're just so rock hard. But yeah, that's gonna be cool. So yeah,
it's quite interesting that they're releasing this so soon after Bloodborne, and don't forget, you know, Shuhei Yoshida also announced there was going to be some DLC for Bloodborne as well. So you could get some Bloodborne DLC later this year, which could take you very close to Dark Souls 3. So you know, I mean, for newbies, you could have. They had a remastered edition of Dark Souls 2, didn't they, on Xbox One and PS4,
yeah.
And then you went into Bloodborne. Now you go into this. There could be some depressed teens around playing just these games. You know, is that too much Bloodborne? Or, you know, I've never dipped into them, so I don't really know. I've never really played a Bloodborne game. But is that too much? Could you be getting close to Bloodborne fatigue, or are they just too cool?
It's a good question because, like, I got really into Dark Souls 2, and I loved it, and I was in New Game Plus, and I just kept playing it. And even though it's sort of bleak and stuff, I just loved it. It got under my skin, and I was just there, and it didn't depress me. I was just happy leveling up and just. But by that time, yeah, you sort of get to know the game inside out, and you're not so perturbed because you know what's coming and you're just doing it for the challenge. I think for me is because I'm still not cleared Bloodborne yet. I still don't know what's coming, and that's the bit that's scary. And so I'm still stuck into that sort of like trepidation stage, and I'm not going to make any more headway on it at the moment because I parked it until probably I've completed The Witcher. But it's just those. It's that first playthrough which is equally fantastic and terrifying, and I just think that it's a lot of work, you know, to battle through. I think you can have, for me, because I don't have that much time to play as well. I just need my time. I'm just being selfish. I need my time to enjoy Bloodborne or any Souls game, and then I need to come out the other side and I need to get over it before you release another game. So if you could just do that for me, then that's fine. But yeah, I think you know, a 6-month wait is probably okay. And yeah, I forgot about the DLC for Bloodborne. You know, it might be a different name, but it's a Souls game at the end of the day. So. You know,
yeah, absolutely. And
take it if you want it, you know. So I didn't actually get the DLC for Dark Souls 2, but it's really good apparently, and maybe I should have done. But then there's the new one for our generation now it's been re-released. So I was going to say I may get that, but I won't because I've got Bloodborne, and then there's Dark Souls 3. So there we go. so that's good news. It's good that it's not fading into obscurity, because when it started out, it wasn't even going to get a US or UK release. It was just, you know, it wasn't seen as a game that would have a fan base in the West. And it's skyrocketed now to such a level that it's just sort of ultra cool, and I like that, and I like the fact that it doesn't handhold, and it's a hardcore game, and it proves that there's gamers out there that are willing to spend that time and their money on a game that's a challenge.
Absolutely, you know, it's quite funny because the next piece of story, the next piece of news is something that's kind of completely different to like Dark Souls, where, you know, it's Uncharted, which is a game that kind of I would like to play, you know, but this isn't a game that just kind of sucks up hundreds of hours, you know, like Witcher or Bloodborne. This is a game that you kind of get in, you play, you get out, you know. But when you start playing something like Dark Souls, or you are investing in a big chunk of your time,
absolutely,
aren't you?
You are. And yeah, you've got to be willing to put in that perseverance, really, and you've got to be willing to fail and willing to learn and willing to have the reward of mastery. But yeah, it's really good. But I love all the Uncharteds. I'm a great fan of Uncharted 1, 2, and 3. I love them all equally, and I can't wait for Uncharted 4. I won't get the collection because I've already played them. So to me, it's not worth the time investment. But for those that haven't, oh wow! If this is going to be like £40 for all 3 games, then it's a no-brainer. They're brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, this week, it was last week. It was leaked. You know, another one of those gaming leaks. If only we had a decent plumber in the gaming industry. oh, we do. It's Mario. No, anyway, so I mean, this was leaked, and then Sony were very quick. I think they had their material already. They were very quick to kind of come up behind it. So what we've got Uncharted: The Nathan Drake Collection. Now, what this is it's Uncharted 1 to 3. You know, and as I shamefully said a couple of pods ago, I've never finished, apart from Golden Abyss, I've never finished an Uncharted game. So this kind of suits me right down to the ground. You know, I'm ready for Uncharted 4, Thief's End. After I've played all of these, I will be up to date on the story. I know where we are, and you know, and Thief's End looks fantastic. So it is 1 to 3. There's no Golden Abyss, which I think is a good thing. But it's being done by Blue Point Studios, so it's not being done by Naughty Dog, because obviously they're busy doing Uncharted 4. There's going to be no multiplayer in this, and that's, you know, again, I haven't played these games. I don't care about multiplayer in these games. As I was saying, you know, I want to get in, play my 7 hours, get out. I don't want to play the multiplayer. But what you do have is you have access to Uncharted 4's multiplayer beta, which will be either later this year or early next year, so you get that as part of this package. And this is going to be coming out on the 7th of October in the US and the 9th of October in the UK. They haven't put a pricing on there yet, but I am definitely interested in this. You know, it's going to be all of those games, so Uncharted 2, Drake's Deception, which was 3, again, that kind of 1080p, 60 frames a second. They're saying that there's better lighting, better textures, models, and I'll just be interested to see how all of these games kind of hold up, because I know the first one had a little bit of like PlayStation Move in it as well, didn't it? You could play it with Move. I think you could kind of like, you could switch it round, or there was some kind of PlayStation camera, or there was something gimmicky about the first one that you could kind of get into.
Yeah, because it was sort of like, it was round about launch that it came out, wasn't it? But I think, but I don't remember anything movie about it. But yeah, my advice would be grab it, sit down at the weekend or get some time off, and stick it on easy. Get some popcorn and just enjoy it. You know, it's fantastic. I absolutely love it. Indiana Jones meets Tomb Raider meets avoiding many copyright and licensing issues, and it's just a great fun. It's a great yarn, and it's just great. It's a pleasure to play, and the story's good. I love those games so much, really do. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I can't wait. This is definitely kind of on my Christmas list. It's definitely something that I want to play. It's quite interesting because we didn't think that there would be anything that would go up against Tomb Raider this Christmas, because the Uncharted been pushed back to next year. But this could give Tomb Raider a run for its money for those people. I mean, I'm going to get both. You know, they released a trailer for Tomb Raider, the Rise of the Tomb Raider, the Xbox One exclusive this week, and I instantly went to Twitter and I was like, right, that's my Christmas game. That there is my Christmas. That's the game that I want to play while I've got some downtime over Christmas, and that looks fantastic. You know, I'm hoping Microsoft maybe opens their show with some gameplay and with a bit of Lara Croft to start the game. But this comes out, like I say, the 9th of October in the UK, 7th in the US, and I'm going to be there day one playing that.
Yeah, a great buy for everybody that hasn't played it already, and for those collectors that want to dive in and have a PS4 experience of it. Yeah, fantastic.
Absolutely. And then another leak that happened via a Japanese gaming website this week. Now, this is another one that excites me, especially from what I was saying earlier, what I've been playing this week, and that's Forza 6. So Forza 6, we knew that was coming. We'd already seen the box art, so we knew that Forza 6 was on its way. But obviously Microsoft were going to show us a lot of stuff at their conference. They were probably keeping a lot of that under wraps, but some Japanese websites spoiled that for Microsoft. So they released a couple of images showing night racing, some showing kind of wet surfaces, which is something that we haven't had in a Forza game. We've had it in Forza Horizon 2, but we haven't had it in a Forza game. So we're getting night racing. And then there was a little bit of bump that kind of went with this on this website. And they were saying, this site reported that we're going to get 450 cars. Now that's quite interesting because Forza 5 only had 200, so they've doubled the amount of cars. And also we're going to get 26 in air quotes, world famous locales, And again, comparing that to Forza 5, we only had 14. And that was one of the things that I did find that I got fed up with Forza 5, was because I was trying to progress and get to level 100, you ended up just racing the same tracks again and again. And, they're not as exciting as Mario Kart tracks. So you ended up just kind of rolling your eyes when it selected a certain track for you. So you were just... So they're going to have... split screen racing, and also 24 players can race online. As I said before, they're going to have some night racing, and one of the things that did make me chuckle was that they've got 3D puddle effects. So that when the rain comes, you're going to have 3D puddle effects. I just love the fact that that's actually a feature. And then that was kind of followed up a bit later in the week with a release date. So we're getting a release date of September the 18th.
Oh, wow. Excellent.
So it's not that far away. So it looks like I'll be retiring Forza Horizon 2 and I'm picking up on Forza 6 for my kind of Sunday morning drive.
Yeah, cool. So 3D puddle animations, is that what it was? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it reminds me of Drive Club. One of the updates for Drive Club, it was saying that... you're getting a mirage effect, and that's where you can sort of see. It's as if you can see water right at the distance at high speed. The road sort of goes to water, and it's like, oh yeah, hooray! Like when you said that, I wish I could have put a sound effect in of just sort of me legging it out the door, slamming in the car, going off. But obviously, it's not out yet. But
I'm gonna go and buy it. I've got to buy it now. I mean, the two screenshots that were leaked with this, they did look fantastic. They could be pre-rendered. They could be. I'd like to see. Obviously, Microsoft are going to have it at their conference next week, so I can't wait to see what this game looks like when it's running. The Forza has just got better and better, graphically as each one goes by, and so it'll be really interesting to see what this is like. And I think there's a decent bevy of cars there, and a nice amount of tracks, and I do hope that there's DLC a bit later, adding to the tracks, because when you compare that to something like Project Cars, there's a lot more tracks in Project Cars, so it'll be interesting to see kind of those 26 world famous locales, and to see what they've included on the disc.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you got Forza, you got Drive Club, you got Project Cars, you got Forza Horizon. It's a lot of racing games, isn't it? It's a lot of racing games. I miss Project Gotham. I wish that is it Bizarre Creations? I wish they'd stayed together and released more of those. I used to love those, but I'm just sticking with Drive Club at the moment, because it's kind of like, whoa, it's sort of, how many racing games can you play at once? I mean, would you play sort of Project Cars and Forza 6 say simultaneously and appreciate them for their different qualities, or are you more like you'd stick at one racing game at a time?
Well, I think with the trouble that I'm still having with Project Cars and controlling it, I think that Forza is my beast. I think that's the kind of driving game of choice. That's why I'm quite excited about Forza 6 coming out. I'm thinking about, I don't think it's Project Cars' fault. I think it's more me than it, but I just think that I might just go, I can't do this game. I'm more attuned to the Forza 6 driving skill than Project Cars.
Yeah, well, there's plenty of people complaining about that Project Cars issue. But so, would you say, are you a Gran Turismo fan as well?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when the original Gran Turismo came out, I remember just playing that for weeks, months, and also I remember with Gran Turismo when it first came out, I remember playing that, and then when you got to the end of the race, it would then show you a replay, and it was one of the first times that you had these amazing looking replays. So I remember not only racing like 5 or 6 laps, but then I would then watch my replay as well, because it was just so jaw dropping at that point.
Yeah, I love that about racing games, because they're confined to the road and the scenery. It's quite on rails, really. They can just concentrate all that power on just blowing you away with the graphics, and I love that. Gran Turismo was the only game ever that's given me a blister.
Really? Yeah. You played it that much?
Yeah, I was trying to beat my mate. It was like all you had to do. It was about a 10-second thing. You had to go down a straight, take the apex around the corner to say the left or the right, and then through the checkpoint, and you had to get gold or whatever, platinum, whatever is the highest accolade. And he'd done it, and I was like, well, you've done it, I'll do it. And I sat there all day. And it's unbelievable to think that I could have sat for 6 or 7 hours repeating the same 10 seconds or 3 seconds if I messed it up at the start. And yeah, I got a blister on my left thumb, my D-pad thumb. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That was that. You know, you were really buckled down then, weren't you? Trying to beat that.
And I didn't do it either. But fine game. Long development periods, but good games.
Absolutely. So no, it would be really interesting to see that next week at Microsoft's conference. Did you ever watch? I found it once on the lower numbers of the Sky or the higher numbers of the Sky channels. There was like a challenge TV or something, but there was actually a TV show about the making of Forza 4. It was a 10-part show, and it just showed them making Forza 4 and bringing Forza 4 from an idea to market, and it was really interesting. It was all kind of a lot focused around Dan Greenwald, who's the kind of head of Turn 10, but it was very interesting to watch. Did you ever see that?
No, I didn't. I might have to have a look for that. No, I didn't. No, the only thing I've heard of like that is the BBC's program about GTA being made, which is a recent thing. But no, I never saw that.
No, it was really interesting. It was really interesting just to see the game being made and how they were doing the physics, and you know, they got a couple of world famous rally drivers into, and they were saying, you know, this is just so realistic. It was really interesting. Really interesting program.
Wow.
And then
one to look for.
Yeah, absolutely, must. Then the last piece of news we've got is Halo 5. Now, this isn't a leak. This is a very controlled release. And Halo 5 is the Game Informer kind of cover game for this month. So there's been, with Game Informer this month, there's been a lot of interesting Halo 5 news that's come out with it as well. So, I mean, a quick rundown is that Halo 5 will obviously support co-op for campaign, but what it won't do anymore is support split screen co-op. So that's been taken out of Halo. So it's kind of, but the good news is you don't actually need an Xbox Live Gold account to play online co-op. So if you and your buddy haven't got, and it will support up to 4 players. So if you and a group of people haven't got Xbox Live accounts, then you can still play Halo 5's campaign together, which I thought was quite nice. On the Game Informer cover, Master Chief is there. He's accompanied by Blue Team. So it looks like in kind of both single player and also the 4-player co-op, it's going to be kind of a bit of Master Chief and Blue Team, and then maybe they go their separate ways or something happens, because I know we're going to have Spartan Locke, who's in from the Nightfall series. He's also going to be maybe part of the campaign as well, so it might switch between the two protagonists. I think, what else have we got? The other thing is that multiplayer is going to launch with 20 maps. So as well as that, Halo is going to be launching with 20 multiplayer maps. So we've got 20 multiplayer maps on the disc, with another 15 that are going to be released for free later on. So 343 Studios are going to release an additional 15 maps, and they said that they're going to do it for free because and I quote, they want everybody to be on the same level. So they don't want their gameplay divided between the people who have got the additional maps and the people that haven't.
It is annoying that when you're trying to jump into a multiplayer game and all of a sudden it says, you can't because you haven't got this map, and if you want to get it, you've got to buy it. It's sort of like, it is annoying. So that's really nice. That's good. Is that sort of to make up for some problems with Master Chief Collection as well, do you think?
It must be. I think they are still, similar to what we were saying earlier with Microsoft kind of reeling from that bad press conference. I think, the Master Chief Collection not working properly, I think that kind of really hit them as well. The funny thing that they did say was, and you can imagine Bolly Ross, the head of 343, just saying it with a bit of a smile on her face, but she said, going forward, you will never see a Halo game coming out without a beta. So they have obviously heard, from their fans, they are reeling at the pain that was the problems, and they're going to make sure that it comes out slick and that everybody can enjoy it straight away.
Well, it sounds like there's been a lesson learned there, and as long as they learn from that, and we can see that, what can you say? Good on them. Good on them there.
Absolutely. And it's a very important franchise for Microsoft, so they really have to have to get this right.
Flagship.
A flagship franchise.
Franchise. And like Forza, really, that's their flagship car game, Halo, flagship shooter. Yeah,
absolutely. Viva Pinata, their flagship garden building tool.
I can't believe you got that in.
I have to get one, at least one. But anyway, right, so that's about it. That's about it for this episode. So again, all that remains to say is, a big thank you for listening. And we're glad we're back. We won't have a break next week. We're going to be back next week, and it will be post E3. But don't forget, you can keep up with us at gamersoftheLostSpark.com. You can also find us on Facebook. We're Lost Spark Pod on iTunes. And Darren, where can we find you? What's your Twitter account and your gamer tags?
You can find me Wythermator on PS4, Xbox One and Twitch, Dazagamer on YouTube, and at Daz Whittam on Twitter.
Fantastic. For me, I'm Chessman on Xbox Live. I'm PS-Chessman on PSN and Chessman UK on Twitter. Again, all of this information and links to our profile pages for PSN and Xbox Live are all on our About page on gamersoflostspark.com. If you have any feedback, please send an email to feedback@gamersoftheLostSpark.com. Keep an eye on Twitter at Twitter/LostSparkPod for more updates on oncoming episodes, and also some articles that both Darren and I, more Darren than me at the moment, is writing and posting up. We've got one at the moment about Windows 10 and Xbox gaming, a really interesting read. So that's up there. So like I say, if you have any feedback, please send us an email or drop us a review on iTunes. You can find us on iTunes where you can drop us a review. So that's it. So I hope you have a good week, and we'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, see you everyone. Bye.
Thanks very much. Bye.